right, sports fan, welcome to another episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Michael Hudson, coming at you from Seattle, Washington. Thanks for joining us this week. We hope all of you are staying safe and healthy during these interesting times. We have an action-packed episode for you today. We're going to jump in right away and introduce to you all my fellow co-hosts. So first, we have the one and only Zarita Sese from Toronto, Canada.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? I'm ready to talk sports. Let's get it.
I love it. Next, we have Mark Nabong from Dallas, Texas.
Let's go, Mike. I'm ready. I'm so jacked to be here. Let's do this. Let's go.
Let's go. And coming at us from Alexandria, Virginia, we have Mr. EJ Gonzalez.
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing tonight? Did you guys hear? Washington practiced 2 days in a row. That's the most I've heard about the Wizards in a long time.
I love it. And last but not least, we have Ken Cruz from Washington, D.C. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Washington, D.C., we got new things going on here, including a new me. What's up?
I love it. Thanks, guys, for joining tonight. Just a quick reminder that we are by no means experts. We're just passionate about this. But before we get into our main discussions tonight, here are some updates from other sports news that happened this week across the globe. EJ, you have some Tiger Woods news for us. I hope it's good.
Yeah, Mike, unfortunately, it's not so good news. Tiger Woods will not be competing in PGA tournaments for the foreseeable future. Tiger announced that he will miss the Farmers Insurance Open, which is scheduled for next weekend, and the Genesis Invitational in mid-February. He had to undergo another surgery for his back in late December after the PNC Championship, which he played with Charlie Woods, and we all enjoyed watching. But now that totals 5 surgeries all in all for Tiger. So there is some hopeful news, though, Mike. There is some hopeful news. The doctor said that Woods is expected to make a full recovery and should be healthy to compete in the Masters, which is back to its regular schedule in early April. So we could see him in the Masters wearing that green jacket again. But Tiger is still hunting for that 83rd PGA Tour win, which will give him the record for the most PGA Tour victories in history. Tiger, just know your fans over here in EBC Sports International, we're wishing you a speedy recovery. Back to you, Michael.
Absolutely. Thanks, E. Really appreciate it. So, Ken, it looks like one of the NFL's top-tier quarterbacks is calling it quits. Can you tell us more?
Yes, sir. So after 17 seasons, the great Philip Rivers says no mas. Rivers, who played quarterback for 16 years with the San Diego/Los Angeles Chargers, still sounds weird to me, and then his final year with the Indianapolis Colts, told the Union Tribune late Tuesday night, quote, "It's just time," end quote, and announced his retirement from the NFL this past Wednesday. Rivers came to San Diego on a draft night trade in 2004, wore the number 17, my favorite number, by the way, played in 244 regular season games, in which he started 240 straight, which is only behind Brett Favre in the quarterback position, who started 297 straight games. At 39, Rivers finishes his career ranked 5th all-time with 63,440 passing yards and 421 touchdown passes. From 2008 to 2010, Rivers led the NFL in passer rating at 103.8, yards per attempt at 8.9, and yards per completion at 13.2. Including this last playoff run with the Colts, Rivers had 7 trips to the playoffs as a starting quarterback, but never made it to the Super Bowl. So what's next for Philip Rivers? Well, he's already confirmed and announced to be the head coach at St. Michael's High School in Fairhope, Alabama next season, but there are rumors already floating around that he may be considered for an analyst position with ESPN for Monday Night Football starting next season. Now, I guess I'll end with this. What the big question for Philip Rivers, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Ken. Really appreciate it. So Zarita, I know you have some NBA news for us as it pertains to Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving. What do you have for us tonight?
Exactly, Mike. So Kyrie Irving has been the topic of conversation for the past couple of weeks on this show, but also any NBA fan who's been watching and waiting for his return with the Brooklyn Nets. So after an 11-day leave resulting in missing 7 games, Irving was able to join his team, who looks a little different from the last time he played, which was on January 5th. In his Big 3 debut, Kyrie finished strong, 37 points and shooting 53% from the field. When asked about his time off, Kyrie attributed to a lot of personal and family reasons, like we were saying before. And given that he did grow up in New Jersey, things are hitting a lot closer to home right now. And of course, throughout this time off, Kyrie continued to support his community in various ways, like we've been seeing on the news. There was some pushback from Kyrie with regards to answering questions during his first media availability. And when asked about kind of what transpired, he simply put it as he addressed whoever needed to be addressed, and it's time to move on now. And then when it comes to coming back to a new and improved team, Kyrie expressed his excitement and said it's going to be a great thing for the team. He also acknowledged that it's going to be tough losing some of those key guys who's been part of this organization, but it seems like a trend for Kyrie is it's time to move on. So they're going to look forward to the next chapter of this Nets team. And despite all the excitement about this Big 3, they did come up short against the Cleveland Cavaliers, losing 135-147 in double overtime. And with all the star power that was on the court, it wasn't even a Nets player who outshone everybody. It was Mr. Colin Sexton, who scored 42 points, scoring 20 straight in the double overtime. So if you watch the highlight reel, he couldn't miss no matter who was guarding him. And luckily for the Nets, they still have some time to figure this out. So we'll see how this pans out. Back to you, Mike.
And oh man, thanks Z, appreciate it. So now we head back to the NFL, and I'm not just saying this because he's my favorite player or quarterback of all time, but Tampa Bay quarterback Tom Brady is obliterating NFL records left to right. Mark, what news do you have for us for the GOAT?
So Tom Brady is set to break some records again, it seems, and it had me wondering, who's the oldest quarterback ever? So I came up with George Blanda. It's a name I just discovered today. And at 48 years old, he is the oldest pro football quarterback ever. Aside from that, he was also a place kicker. He played for, and get this, 26 seasons spanning 4 decades. Such an incredible feat, especially given all the safety precautions that did not exist back in the late 40s to the mid 70s. Now we fast forward to today. Tom Brady, he was drafted back in 2000 and is currently 43 years old. He's played in 19 NFL seasons, and on Sunday will be the oldest QB left of the 4 teams fighting for the Super Bowl appearance. Even crazier, Brady has been to 9 Super Bowls in his own right. If he makes it past the Green Bay Packers, he will have been to half of the Super Bowls in the last 2 decades. So insane. Speaking of quarterbacks, Montana, my personal favorite quarterback ever, has been deemed the GOAT up until Brady's 6th Super Bowl ring that propelled him into a stratosphere all by himself. Adding another ring would practically put him in a class all alone, and there's just no question that record will stand for at least the next 20 years unless Patrick Mahomes decides to win the next 6 Super Bowls. However, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this later on today, but Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers look absolutely unstoppable. And not to mention, Josh Allen and Mahomes both have solid teams on the other side of the playoffs. Brady currently holds an incredible record, 32-11 in the postseason. This is twice as many as my very own Joe Montana. Putting up a subpar performance against the Saints last week would make any fan worry, but Brady has been here before. Perhaps the even more amazing thing, this is by far the best offense he's ever had. The receiving core is so good, Antonio Brown was practically a backup last week. Antonio Brown, only time, it seems, can really stop Brady on his journey to legendary status. But what did Brady say to Father Time this year when retirement came knocking on his door? Not today, sir. Not today.
Ooh, I love that. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it, man. So that's all the updates we have for you. We'll be right back to kick off our topic of discussion with some NBA after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching EBC Sports International.
Trade shows and exhibitions were one of the most effective and engaging ways to connect with existing and potential customers. But the spread of COVID-19 changed all that with the large cancellations of both global and domestic events. Now that health and safety protocols and social distancing are a must, the days of the crowded trade show floors are so 2019. In this week's episode of Open for Business, we will look into how virtual expos can fill the void to still help MSMEs expand their businesses and continue to engage with customers.
Let's collaborate, let's communicate. Only together, we will become stronger.
David Abrenilla, the founder and chief events officer of Mediacom Solutions Inc., will join us in this week's Open for Business.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is EBC Sports International. Thanks for joining us. As the NBA charges on with its NBA season, we can't help but ignore the fact that former Houston guard James Harden has joined one of the top teams in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. We discussed last week our initial thoughts, but we've seen him play in 3 games already, and he hasn't disappointed, notching 2 triple-doubles so far. So, Zarita, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that James Harden will be one of the keys to the Nets' success this year? Is he the X factor?
Is he the X factor? I don't think so, because I think now that he has KD or even Kyrie to back him up, he's going to be able to kind of ease off a little, breathe. He doesn't have to carry the team anymore, so he'll always produce. I think that triple-double is going to be something that we're going to see all the time. But just not to take focus away from James Harden, I think the X factor in this is going to be Kyrie. And the way that Harden affects Kyrie, we'll start to see it. For example, in that game against Cleveland, look at the shot difference in what Kyrie took and what Harden took. And I know a lot of media personalities were harping on Kyrie for taking those kinds of shots that should be going to Harden or even KD. He had 28. He doubled what Harden takes. So I think in that sense, he's going to affect the Brooklyn Nets because he's going to affect Kyrie's play, but I don't think he's going to be the X factor in all of it.
Gotcha. So, Ken, staying with James Harden here, do you think in the long run it's going to hurt the Brooklyn Nets as compared to helping them?
Yeah, what's going to hurt them? Their lack of depth. Right now, they only have 6. It's pretty much a 6-man deep team, right? You have the big 3, KD, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. Then you have Jeff Green, who's old, but I mean his legs are pretty good. Joe Harris, awesome shooter, but defense is okay. And then you have DeAndre Jordan, who's somehow come back to life ever since Harden's come to this team. However, also defense is suspect, which allowed them to lose 2 in a row from tonight's game to the Cavs, who are just a middle of the road team. No LeBron James, obviously, right? They're going to struggle against any big team and any deep team because tonight KD didn't play, and he's probably not going to be playing in back-to-backs for a while because they're still trying to ramp him up, even though he looks like he's 100% already. But they're taking precautions. They're not because of his Achilles, right? But I mean, if you have any of the big 3 out, that's almost not a guaranteed win, but if you're playing against a deep team like the 76ers, who look extremely insane right now, who just beat the Celtics tonight, and also the Bucks. I mean, they did lose to the Nets, but I mean, these deep big teams are gonna punish the Nets. And with these guys playing, these big 3, even though they all played on this last Wednesday, and they played hardcore minutes. I think it was 45 minutes each, which is insane for a regular season game. Yeah, it was double overtime, but you play your big stars this much, I don't know if they're going to last the entire season, especially if they're trying to go on a deep playoff run in their first season. So this is troubling. And I think Steve Nash needs to, if he needs to definitely monitor these minutes because And I think they just got a player injury exception, I believe, from the league for I think $5 million since they lost Dinwiddie for the season. So I think they have until like March to use that. So that's going to be big. So hopefully they can pick up someone big or one or two players during the in the market for this, or trade for another guy, because right now it's that is a problem. It's not James Harden. Yes, he's big. Yes, he looks like he's 30 pounds overweight. But at the end of the day, he has a great handle, and he's going to get to wherever he wants. These three guys aren't going to have a problem scoring. What I am extremely like worried about is the rest of the team, and they just don't have enough. Jarrett Allen punished them tonight, playing in a different uniform. It was revenge season for him, and this is what's going to happen. Every team, just like what happened to the Lakers last year, is going to give them their best. So if they aren't 100%, then they're in trouble for the rest of the season.
Definitely. So, EJ, what are your thoughts about KD, Kyrie, and Harden? Do you think they're going to mesh well in the long run? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I talked about this last week, man. Those three are going to bring Nets the championship. I really do think that's the case. Yes, they did lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers, not only tonight, but the night before. Tonight, they didn't have KD again, so I don't really count that against them. And the night before was the first time that they played together all on the court, with Kyrie missing such an extended amount of time with those personal reasons. He did sound very sincere, Kyrie did, when he came back and he addressed the media. And all of the teammates backed him up and is supportive of him. But here's some stats with the Brooklyn Nets right now. 4th in offensive efficiency, and that's with only one game with the big three all playing together. I guarantee that number is going to hit first in the league, probably 10 games into this big three era, But the concerning part is the 21st defensive efficiency, man. Like, that's just so bad. And Cleveland, I think Cleveland's ranked dead last in offensive efficiency. Yeah. Like, horrible. And they were able to score over 140 points. Granted, Colin Sexton had the game of his life and hit 20 straight in like a 5-minute span. I mean, the guy was unstoppable. And, sometimes those kind of nights, will happen. And, but that's like a once-in-a-lifetime performance, if you ask me. But like Zarita touched on earlier, Kyrie, I think, is the one that's kind of going to have to adjust. If you remember, Harden was the 6th man in OKC, so he doesn't have the problem of adjusting back to that type of role, if you ask me, and he's proven it. You said he had 2 triple-doubles. He actually had a triple-double against the Cavs last game, so that's 3 total, 2 with 30 points. The ones against the Cavs was a 20-point triple-double, but Zarita had the point. Kyrie is taking some shots from James Harden, but I don't think that's going to affect the performance that James Harden has. And when Kyrie's still shooting above 50% field goal average, even shooting that many times, if he's making that many, go ahead. I say go for it, but they got to find a way to balance it, especially more with KD, because I think he should have been taking those last-minute shots at the end of the game, because nobody can guard KD. I mean, nobody could guard Kyrie, but he has to do a lot more, but nobody could guard KD. And as earlier, the X factor, I think, is actually going to be Joe Harris. He got 40 minutes against the Cavs in their first game and shot 2 of 10 for only 6 points. So he has to step up his performance. He's going to get a lot of good looks with these big three drawing double teams often. So he has to hit his shots, and he has to contribute at least 15 points a game if he's averaging 40 minutes a game, So, but I think with the big three, they're going to be unstoppable. Just give them a little bit of time. I mean, this is their first game together, honestly.
Gotcha. So, Mark, I wanted to get your thoughts. So, as far as the Nets' success, what do you think they have to do? We know they're amazing offensively. So, what do you think they have to do as far as like the little things go to basically bring the championship home, you think?
Well, I mean, number one, you really defense. That's the number one thing. I mean, the Warriors run, when they were beating everybody, they were number one, number two in offense, but they were also number one, number two in defense. And that was their first championship run. Even the year they went 70 with the 73 win season, defense is still going to be the focal point. Teams now are they're scoring. I swear, every time I look at the scores, it's 130 plus points, which is insane to me. I don't even remember. I remember hitting 100 was the goal. Now it's like you have to hit 120 to be relevant. And I guess that just goes to show, everyone is shooting threes now, and they're doing so either excessively or efficiently. And unfortunately, I think it's more excessive at this point. For them to gel, I kind of want to see Kyrie take the point and Harden become more of like the Klay Thompson role, where let Kyrie get his and Harden just look for your threes. And I hate to say it because I think the threes are going to be Steph's record at the end of the day, but if Harden is as efficient as he is when he was with the Rockets and scoring, imagine trying to guard Kevin Durant and trying to guard Kyrie while he's running around the court getting all fancy, and you have Harden in the corner, or you have Harden coming off screens. What do you do? That's absolutely terrifying to me. I think their depth is really going to hurt them in the long run, because I mean, if the Warriors against the Raptors, if that finals taught me anything, is that the Warriors just didn't have enough. They didn't have enough people. And the one thing I will say about Harden is all the years that the Warriors have played Harden in the finals, he gets winded. And if he's playing 45 minutes a night, once the playoffs come around and he's going to have to keep doing that and pulling that kind of a load, and especially playing that much offense, and if, let's say, you just don't play defense, I don't care how efficient you score, if the other team can keep up with you, it's going to be a trap meet. And if you don't have the energy at the end of the year, what was the regular season for?
Absolutely. Totally agree. So, yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. It's definitely an exciting time seeing the big three once again on another team, but we'll definitely keep you posted on what happens in the future. So we're going to stay with the NBA. I just want to get your guys' thought. We'll go around the horn here. Yeah, we know the Lakers, Clippers, Nets. Those are the top three teams in the NBA. Are there any other teams besides those teams who have impressed you so far in the season? So, Mark, we'll start with you.
I hadn't really been paying too much attention to other teams. I mean, outside of the Nets and obviously the Warriors because they're my team, and the Raptors because Rita brings it up every week. Someone has to. No, I get it. But what really caught my attention was I think it was a day ago. Shaq had Spider Mitchell in an interview and basically told him he didn't think he could get to the next level. And I didn't really think much of it because listening to Shaq's tone and just knowing Shaq from all his TNT broadcasts, I don't think there was any malice or any negative intent there. I think he was just trying to feed the fuel to help Mitchell get to the next level and use that as motivation. That's what I felt. But then seeing LeBron and other NBA players come to his defense, I feel like people are overreacting. I absolutely, when Donovan Mitchell first came into the league, I was absolutely in love with him. The way he shoots the ball, the way he plays the game, I felt like every time he shot the ball, the net just sounded different when it went through the net for him, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved watching him play, and so when I saw that comment, I was like, I wonder how the Jazz are doing. They're second in the West. They're 11-3, and I don't know what that, I don't know what that's about, but that's definitely a team that stood out to me and is surprising. But at the same time, you have Rudy Gobert, awesome defender, and you have Spider Mitchell. He's an awesome player. So
awesome, man. We only got like about a minute here, so let's be a little quicker. So EJ, what do you? No, that's all right, Mark.
No, the battle in New York. Just look at the Knicks, man. 8-8, one game or half game behind the Brooklyn Nets. And for the first time in 3 years, they won back-to-back games. So, hey, I'm pretty sure nobody was expecting that. So I think that's definitely something good. Shout out to Josie. Shout out to Josie.
Ken, how about you, boss?
Well, I mean, I have to bring it up because this is anniversary of Kobe. 15 years ago, scored 81 points against Doritos Raptors. This guy right here, this deadly guy. But I mean, like, I'm gonna be real quick about it. I know you mentioned the Lakers, but I just have to mention, LeBron's in his 18th year, 36 years old. This guy last night scored 34.6 rebounds, 8 assists. Just looked like the best player on the court against the Bucks team with Giannis. So AD's struggling with a shot. The rest of the team is still finding their groove, but these guys are 12-4. And that is just something that is extremely impressive this early on. And I think it bodes well for the Lakers if both your top players, LeBron and AD, are cruising and you're still winning.
Gotcha. Okay, Zarita, how about yourself?
Really quickly, I'm going to say Joel Embiid. I think he's finally becoming the player that a lot of people expected. And I think something about Doc Rivers finally getting him engaged, while his endurance and his what's the word I'm looking for? Conditioning is finally up. He's playing more minutes. He's kind of blowing out his prior regular season stats. So I'm going to say Joel Embiid, even though he airplaned all over my Raptors.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget that. Well, we're going to airplane out of here for a moment before we continue on with some NFL talk. We'll be right back after these messages.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our help outdoor chat.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. Now let's talk NFL. The AFC and NFC championship games are set, and I think it's safe to say none of our hometown teams made it this far, right, guys? All of our teams are out.
Unfortunately.
Sad.
We claim Buffalo.
Yeah. However, one of the biggest matchups we will probably ever see in our lifetime will be in the NFC Championship game as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. This means that we will have Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. against Aaron State Farm Double Check Rodgers for the right to go to Super Bowl 55. EJ, we're starting with you on this one. Does Brady make a 10th trip to the Super Bowl, or does Rodgers get it done and go to his second?
Oh, man. If all these years watching Tom Brady hasn't taught me that you can never count Tom Brady out of anything, like, I don't know. I mean, I do not want to see him in another Super Bowl. I mean, I know he's the GOAT. We always root for the player who always makes it all the time. You know, I mean, that's why I like Tiger Woods. That's why I've grown to like LeBron James, who just seems to live in the NBA Finals. But I don't know, for some reason, Tom Brady, I feel like he's won too much, right? But the biggest thing is, for this takeaway, is Aaron Rodgers. They're going to be playing in Green Bay. You know, Tom is used to cold temperatures, but you know what's concerning is that those other Bucs players might not be so. I mean, you're playing in Tampa. The weather is perfect 24/7, and Rodgers already said he said if we could just play these playoff games in Green Bay, he'd be happy, because he knows he's going to have that upper hand, and especially if it snows, that changes completely the outcome of what I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do. When I look at this passing statistics for Aaron Rodgers, led the league in touchdown passes, has a higher completion percentage than Tom Brady at 70% completion rate. I know the dude could ball. So I mean, I think these are two, if not, you know, these are definitely top 3 quarterbacks in the league, but top 2 quarterbacks going head to head, especially the hottest teams right now. I think it's going to be a really good showdown. I'm hoping that Aaron Rodgers can upset Tom Brady and, you know, halt that Antonio Brown train, because I don't want him claiming any type of victory.
Well, we just got news that Antonio Brown is not playing. He's injured.
Oh,
so he's actually out for that game Sunday. So yeah, the news just came out.
I mean, they have so many offensive weapons, though. Honestly, like Mark was saying earlier, he was kind of like a guy that was just sitting back, relaxing, you know, being that like a distraction for the opposing team. So he definitely has a lot of weapons, but Aaron Rodgers has one, Devontae Adams, and that's it. Oh. But he still led the league in touchdown passes. It's insane to me. That guy is a beast.
Mark, what do you expect in the game on Sunday? Do you expect a shootout? You expect kind of like a grind? What are your initial thoughts on the matchup?
Oh man, you know, watching the Bucs and the Saints game, you know, ultimately probably Drew Brees' last game. I was hoping for a shootout, and it never came. It just didn't happen. They both Brady and Brees, they just looked off. I don't expect Brady is going to have another off game against Green Bay. If for whatever reason he's putting up the same numbers, then it's because his receivers are dropping catches because of the cold. But I'm hoping for a shootout. I love watching defense. I think it's one of my favorite parts of any sport, really. But when it comes to Brady and Rodgers and then even their coaches, they just know how to draw up offense. And the Bucs were able to pull out a win against the Saints, even with Brady struggling. And so I'm hoping for a shootout. I want to see Aaron Rodgers just go ham for the NFC Championship. And I really like Brady, but I definitely don't want to see him in another Super Bowl. But at the same time, I kind of do, because, you know, it's something that's like never been done before either. 43-year-old guy going to the Super Bowl for the 10th time in 20 years. That's crazy to even think about. So I think I'm hoping for a shootout. And I had a quick question, Mike. Was it Antonio Brown's feelings hurt, or what kind of injury are we talking?
You know, they said his knee. His knee was.
I know.
Who really knows, right? I mean, these injuries nowadays are kind of, you know, you have like Kawhi Leonard stuff, and I don't know. I mean, I always give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see. But Ken, I want to get your thoughts. You know, if Brady were to win this game, and he goes to his 10th Super Bowl, do you believe that will kind of catapult him to GOAT status, or would he have to win that?
He's been at GOAT status. That's fact, right? I mean, the guy is just absolutely he lives for this time of the year. Even though you can tell that like he's lost quite a few steps, it's just the experience and the just being able to have a normal heart rate when the time is clutch, right? That's that's what these guys paid for. That's what Tom Brady is known for. That's what puts him in the same level as, you know, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. You know, it's what they live for. But knowing that, I don't even know if he's going to get past this game, honestly. I mean, I think it's the two Aarons, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, who's probably one of the, if not the best wide receiver in football right now. These guys are just going to overwhelm him. I mean, I saw it firsthand last week when they demolished my Rams, 32-18. You know, I was prepared to see the Rams lose on like a shootout, being killed on offense, even though they were going against such a, you know, the Rams, one of the best defenses in the NFL, even though Aaron Donald was kind of hurt. But what really surprised me was the Packers defense. Those guys gave Goff a really hard time, albeit that Goff is still recovering from his injured thumb. But like, those guys looked really good on both sides of the ball, and that's what makes championship football, right? And the fact, I mean, like EJ brought this up, they're playing at Lambeau. This is the first time ever in Rodgers' career that he's playing in Lambeau for an NFC title. So something about that Wisconsin cheese, those cheeseheads, give Green Bay like that extra motor, that extra advantage, and I think that's going to play into their to their role here. I mean, I looked at the weather earlier. Right now, it's saying that high of 28, low of 12, 60% chance of snowing on Sunday. Oh, yes. So that leans that's in favor of Green Bay. So I think that it's going to be a State Farm Super Bowl. You know, we'll talk about the other side later, but it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes, and I bet you they already filmed commercials for this.
Definitely.
Probably. Those commercials are pretty hilarious. Hey, EJ, so I had a quick question. So from each side, what do you think the Tampa Bay has to do to win, and what do you think Green Bay has to do to win? Like, what are the key things that they have to do?
I mean, like we've talked about, we know these guys can show up offensively. And I was looking at the defensive ratings earlier, and Buccaneers do have the upper hand. I think they're 9th overall in NFL defense, and then the Green Bay Packers are 13th. Okay, so they're pretty much right there next to each other, but I think the defensive end definitely will be the X factor of who wins this game. But again, with the weather report, thank you, Weather Ken, I think that there's a lot of positive momentum already going through Aaron Rodgers' head. So I take it back, not defense. I think the weather is really going to play that role. I think it really will. And Aaron Rodgers already said, again, if we play in Lambeau, they better look out, and that's where they're playing. So it's gonna be a fun one to watch, and I hope Aaron Rodgers does take advantage of the weather over there.
Well, it's definitely going to be a legendary battle, and the two number 12s are going to be duking at it. I'm sure it's going to be something that we'll be talking about for years to come. So stay tuned for Sunday, guys. They play at 12 noon Pacific time. So staying with NFL, we have the AFC Championship game. So we're basically going to have the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Buffalo Bills, and it's a rematch from last year's playoffs. I believe they played in the divisional round last year. Patrick Mahomes is still a game time decision with a concussion. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but he will not be 100%. But the Chiefs are still favored to win. Mark, who gets the W on Sunday?
I kind of got to give the edge to the Chiefs, and the main reason there is, whether Mahomes is healthy or not, they've been there. They know how to handle the pressure. They've won it all already with this team. And the Bills, this is the farthest they've gotten in a really long time. Not to take anything away from Josh Allen, because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch play these days. He's just, I think I said it last week, he reminds me of Steve Young, and he's just a lot of fun to watch. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, he's the one with the playoff experience. He's the one that's won a championship. He's MVP. He knows what he's doing. And he's just got a winner mentality. And I think State Farm may be paying Rodgers and him bonuses if they get there together, and maybe that's a little extra motivation for him. But I think the Chiefs are just I think the Chiefs are just going to overwhelm the Bills in this game, and they're going to come out on top.
Gotcha. So Ken, let's just say hypothetically Mahomes doesn't play, he's called out. Do you think Kansas City can still win this game?
That's a tough call. I mean, Josh Allen is that dude right now. But, I mean, just based on reports, I mean, you saw Patrick on the field yesterday, and I believe today also. He's taken his practice. He's done a practice field. It looks like it looks maybe I think it's like almost guaranteed that he's gonna be playing. So, but if we're going off of the scenario that you just mentioned, without Mahomes there, the State Farm Bowl is over, and I feel like this would be the Bills the Bills game to lose, because I mean at the end of the day, like this looks like if they weren't playing the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, I would put the Bills as the favorites, just because, I mean, it's just that time. You watch all these 30 for 30s about the Bills and all their struggles and all the times they've lost. I mean, they have such a great fan base. If you've seen some of these videos of these guys coming home after they secured their playoff, secured the fact that they're going to be in the playoffs again, these guys on freezing cold Buffalo weather. I mean, I feel like if there's a fan base that deserves a Super Bowl win, even just a Super Bowl outing, it's the Buffalo fans. But I mean, if Patrick is even at 70% of what he's supposed to be, passes all the concussion protocols, I don't see the Chiefs losing this game. He's just too good. 1, 2 stylish, 2 and 3. he has that swag. He really does. He has that swag that I've won this before and I can win this again.
Yeah, I can't help but remember the back-to-back losses the Bills had. All those times, like
absolutely disgusting.
Oh god. So.
How about this, guy? How about this? Look, Buffalo, since they played Kansas City, I was kind of looking at their schedule. They've gone 11-1 since they lost to Kansas City.
Wow,
11-1. They've been absolutely killing it, and Josh Allen definitely has improved since their last meeting. And I mean, he's like Ken said, he's all the talk right now. He is all of the hype, and it's not just hype; it's real. And if it was anybody, just like Ken said, if it was anybody but the Chiefs, I'd be picking the Bills in this situation.
I think based on that, just real quick, I think that either win, lose, or draw, I think Josh Allen is going to benefit so much from this experience, being in the bright lights, being in a championship game for AFC. I think that, moving forward, whatever the result is, I think this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and he's going to be up there with Mahomes, with Rodgers. Somehow, well, Rodgers has kind of come back from nowhere too, but with the big names, you have to put Josh Allen in there.
Oh, totally. EJ, I wanted to ask you about the game. So, as far as the Bills go, they're total underdogs, right? So what do they have to do to stop Mahomes? So we're thinking that he's going to play. He's probably going to be close, 80, 90%. What does the Bills have to do to stop Mahomes?
Man, I don't think that they're complete underdogs. I actually have the Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason why, if Mahomes, especially if Mahomes doesn't play, they should have lost to the Browns last week. If it wasn't for that crazy fumble at the end zone, that would have altered the score. That would have altered the score, and it would be the Browns playing in the AFC Championship and not the Kansas City Chiefs. And now, if Mahomes is not 100%, the Bills just got to play their game. And again, you said it was a rematch from last year. If I recall correctly, the Bills were up by over 3 touchdowns, over 3 scores in the first quarter against the Chiefs. And then, yes, the Patrick Mahomes magic, it does exist, right? Like, he just finds a way to help his team win. But if he's not there, if he's not 100%, Bills just got to play their game. Josh Allen has been hot. And like to Mark's point, 11-1, since they lost to them in the regular season, he's still riding that. And he was able to defeat the Ravens. They stomped them out pretty much. And that's the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL. So the Bills, I do not think they're underdogs. I think they're going to beat the Chiefs, especially if Mahomes is not 100%.
I just got excited for the Bills. I'm taking the Bills now.
Thank you. See?
Hey,
that is a hot take.
Okay, I'll never forget our take on, was it Washington beating the Steelers?
Washington against Steelers, giving them their first loss of the season. We got that right. Me and Mark, I was able to persuade you. I persuaded Mark. We're going to get this right, man. I'm telling you.
I'm buying my Bills jersey this weekend.
State Farm Bowl all the way, guys. That's my guarantee.
See what happens. We'll see if we'll get the State Farm Bowl.
Discount, triple check.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to take one last break, and we'll be right back with some UFC news as well as our question of the show. We'll be right back.
Bukayo, merengue, panutsa, yema, at marami pang iba. Talaga namang patok sa Pinoy ang matatamis.
Ang ginagawa lang namin, candy lang po, lollipop. Hanggang sa gumawa na rin kami ng lahat po ng klase ng candies.
Sabi ko nga po, bakit hindi ako maggawa ng pastillas? Ay malaking tulong ang panutsa. Yun na nga ang hanap buhay namin dito sa Taal.
Masasabi ko naman po talaga na stable at napakaganda po ng naging pasok po ng flow ng aming pong income.
Ating ding aalamin kung paano mo pwedeng gawin ang mga ito sa sarili mong bahay. Ako po, si Robin Padilla. At ito po ang ulat. Kagapay sa hanap buhay.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm Michael Hudson coming at you from Seattle, Washington. So we rarely bring up the UFC on our show, but because one of the greatest to ever do it is fighting tomorrow, we definitely have to discuss. So Conor McGregor will be taking on Dustin Poirier. I think I said that right. In UFC 257, this is a rematch from 2014 when Conor knocked him out in under 2 minutes at UFC 178. So Ken, what are your thoughts on the lightweight matchup and who's going to win on Fight Island?
Yeah, man. So like Poirier mentioned himself after that fight that McGregor is the hardest puncher that he's ever faced. So, but at the same time too, Poirier since that fight has gone 10 for 12, and so I feel like if there's a chance, it's this fight just because Conor has only had like 2 fights in the last 27 months, so Conor is the main draw and the reason why we're talking about this at this moment. But at the same time too, like with him fighting so little and just not having that octagon time, it's not completely. It wouldn't be completely like out of the blue if Dustin were to win this fight. However, saying that, I feel like McGregor is still gonna. I think this doesn't pass the 3rd round. McGregor is just too good when it comes to striking, his accuracy. I mean, both of these guys lost to Khabib, so and Khabib, like as you guys know, he's been adamant in saying that he's gonna stay retired. But if there's anything that is that this fight should be a title fight, just because of the fact that Khabib is retired. This should be a title fight. This should be getting more draws. But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like this is a McGregor fight to win. This is, it's going to be a lot of showy, a lot of show, crazy intro. You're going to see Connor coming out in smoke to some crazy Irish song. But it's just one of those ones where like it's a must see for all fans. I'll be watching it, but I think it's not going to go past 30.
Gotcha. EJ, what are your thoughts about the fight tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, just basically off the same facts that Ken already mentioned, that it's really the only concerning part for Connor. Obviously, one of the best to ever do it. He just hasn't been fighting as much. I mean, I don't know how many times he said he's gone into retirement and then came out of retirement just to fight, one or two fights here or there. But yeah, I mean, I've never even heard of Dustin Poirier, to be honest. So, and if you said that Connor knocked him out in 2 minutes, their last fight, I think he does have a shot this time due to the fact that Connor just hasn't been fighting as often as he should be. So it's really up to the shape of how much of in shape Conor McGregor is. But this isn't the fight I'm focused on. I'm still waiting for that Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor fight that was announced that was rumored like last year, right? Like that's what I want to see. I want to see Manny knock him out in the boxing ring. I don't really care about the octagon.
If Floyd walked all over, Floyd walked all over
right.
And if he goes against even Manny right now, just like coming straight from the senator room to
right.
he would gas all over him like in a suit. Like that's just the level of difference with Connor's boxing versus Manny's boxing. This Connor has great hands. He has hard hands. But I mean, like if you talk to any of these guys that Manny's knocked out in the past, Manny would annihilate this guy.
Oh, dude, yeah, wouldn't even be close. Yeah, I thought it was going back to the UFC fight. Like I saw the weigh-in this morning. I thought it was really interesting to just see Connor's like new attitude. Like he's just totally changed from before. He used to be like all about trash talking, all about like getting in the guy's face. But now he's just like
what it is?
Everybody.
What it is? He did that to Khabib, and then he just got embarrassed.
Oh yeah.
So he had to switch it up.
And it helps that he has Tony Robbins now too. So psychologically, it's been helping, obviously. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think Conor definitely has the upper hand. But I think if it goes past the first round, historically, Conor has shown that he's gassed pretty quickly. His cardio isn't really up to par. I think, like what you said, Ken, Dustin has definitely improved. From 2014, obviously, 7 years, and his record has shown that. So it's gonna be a really interesting fight. I think both of the guys' style is pretty similar. Both are gonna try and knock out each other. So I think it'll be pretty fun to watch. So going on to our last part of the show, as we always do, we do our question of the show. So this week, celebrate our fans and the biggest fans, the mascots. The question is, everybody, you could be a mascot for any pro team. Who would you be and why? So I'm going to start out. So I'd definitely be the Vegas Golden Knight, the guy with the with the armor and the sword. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'd probably light it on fire too. Like, swing it.
I can imagine him in some armor on a horse. That's hilarious. I think I'm gonna Photoshop that, Mike, for you to see.
Do it. Zarita, how about you?
For me, I would go with some sort of basketball team, and probably Benny the Bull. If you guys have been to a Bulls game, that guy's a lot of fun. I feel like he always wins. Like, they surprisingly have awards for the NBA mascots, and he always gets it. So definitely Benny the Bull.
Gotcha. Mark, how about you?
Benny the Bull is a good one. I love watching those videos of him just trolling fans. The easy answer for me is I don't think the Warriors have a mascot, at least not since the Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City.
It's the dude, isn't it the guy with the basketball head for the Warriors?
No, he used to be the Thunderbolt guy.
The Thunder guy. He was like the Jack. He would just do all these things. The crazy thing is, I actually the guy that played the mascot for that Warriors, he was my neighbor. He actually lived next door. And the crazier thing is, he's just as jacked as that guy. He was just all.
These guys have to be.
It was a skin tight suit, right?
It was a skin tight suit. Yeah, that's what it was.
You need to do that so you can look jacked.
Yeah.
You have to do stuff like that. All right, Ken, how about you, man?
Yeah, so the Lakers are one of 4 teams, including the Warriors, that don't have a mascot. The Dodgers are one of 3 teams that don't have a mascot. Rampage the Ram is all I have, man. But just quick thing. It's unofficial, but Benny the Bull makes over $200,000 a year. Well
I
deserved.
could see. Yeah.
Is it the same guy? Is it the same guy every year?
It's been. I think it's been. There's only been like 2 or 3 of them in the past, maybe 15 years. Yeah.
Hey. Wow. Cashing in.
It's just absolute comedy watching him just, it's the best.
I'm at the All-Star game this last year. It was like he was shining. It was great.
Yeah. EJ, how about you, man? Last one.
Hey, the Wizards do have a mascot. It'd have to be G-Wiz. I think he's super cool. But if it weren't for a home team, I actually think, other than Benny the Bull, I actually like Rocky from Denver. The Tiger guy. I remember playing NBA Ballers Phenom when I was a kid, and we had to play against the mascots. And I thought he looked one of the coolest, and he's pretty funny too. So yeah, I think Rocky from Denver is a good one too.
Well, hey, next show we all get to dress up as our mascot. How about that? Just kidding. There's no way I can
get abs that fast, Mike.
I gotcha. All right, guys. Well, hey, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. From Seattle, Washington, I'm Michael Hudson. This is EBC Sports International. We live in interesting times.